product thinking, and essentially why it's very important for building products, and what differentiates from a great builder, a good builder from a great builder, right? And what distinguishes between an average product and a great product. And that's the insight that I'm hoping to give you all today. But before that, before I start with my session, I'm gonna need some help from all of you, because this format is a little bit, is not the most optimal format for me, so I need to manifest your energy. That means I need to know something about all of you. So what I'll do is, I'll share a Menti link where I ask some questions from all of you, and I just need to answer to those questions, so that will help me understand you, get to know you a little bit, and then that'll make it easier for me to go through the session. So let's start with that. So the first thing I ask from all of you is, can you also see the screen that I'm sharing? Good? Okay, awesome. Can you all go to Menti.com and enter this code? And then I have some questions for all of you. Okay, some of you all are live. Awesome. It's actually the first time that I'm using Menti to organize something. I'm always a user, so I wasn't really sure how this is going to go, but thank you. So we have some people. Okay, so I'm going to start this a little conventional question, but I would love to see how it answers. So my first question is, if you were an animal, what would you be? Oh wow, we've got really interesting options over here. Okay, there's a human. I wish you a little bit of more creativity, whoever you are. Panda, yeah, definitely can relate. Unicorn is a very interesting animal. I don't know if you all know. The national animal of Scotland is actually a unicorn. It's still rare, but it is their national unicorn. But it's also a negative there. So you don't see now, okay? Dragon, cat. Okay, tons of interesting answers over here. So from my side, I think if I were an animal, at least I would hope or like to be an octopus. Mainly because of their ability to sort of blend into any particular place or situation, right? They can blend in really well, they go along with anything. So that's me. But thank you all for answering. It's very interesting. Cool. So over to the next question. What is your interest, or what is that you do? Like, if you're studying, what is that you're studying? Okay, design, nice. Great time to be a designer. Is everybody a designer? Or is this the only answer you got? Okay, developer computer science, game development, super interesting. White coder? Okay. It's nice to see that some people's profession or ambition is to become white coder. Not a bad thing. It's nice. Cyber security, software development, fashion design are very nice. Business, okay. So this tells me that like you are all in a really great place today. This is where if you haven't already built something, you learn how to build, or if you are already building something, you can build something different, or that side project that you have been waiting for one day to get inspiration and build. Very interesting. Okay. Last question, I think. When were you born? What year were you born? No? Am I not supposed to ask this? It's anonymous, so okay. 2006, 96, 95, okay.
4.
93. That means I'm not the oldest person here. It's good to know. 1800. Let us know your secret to longevity. We also like to stay alive for as long as you have been. Okay, very cool. For context, I was born in 94, 32. So it's nice to see some people much younger than myself here, which is always a good thing. Awesome. So with that, we will start our session. And thank you so much for answering all those questions. I feel like I know you to some degree, or at least the kind of interest that you have, which is good for me. And before we start the session, Yamin, this is where I'll need your help. I'm going to ask the participants a question at the end of my sort of next segment to say or something. So I'm going to share with you a product. So this is called Bakeries. It's essentially like a tool where you can stick this with people. It's like stickers, basically, right? And what it does is, so I played around with this a little bit today, and then I created this. It has something called squads, basically like group. So I was playing around with this with my wife. We created this group. We added some random stuff over here. No, we didn't pay $10 for biryani. It's just imaginary stuff, right? And then it basically you connect people to here, and then you also see a history where people know to pay. Super easy, like much simpler than splitwise. So you can also create multiple groups, do all of this, right? Very simple, doesn't your creativity well, right? So the question I have to all of you, or whoever, not all of you, whoever want to answer, how much time do you think it would take to build something like that? Ready, Yamin, 1, 2, 3. Yes. So, is there any participants who want to venture a guess? How much time did? Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. Anyone else? Sorry? Okay, we have 2 hours. 2 hours. Who else? Okay, and let's say okay.
We have someone who said 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. Okay, so it's ranging all the way from
8 hours.
Seconds to 2 hours, which is not bad, right? So I'll come with the answer at the end of the session, and we'll see who got it right.
8 hours.
Cool. So let's actually start with. So how am I doing on time? How much time do I have?
30 minutes. If you can do it 30 minutes.
For that?
I'm just
Okay.
45 minutes.
25 minutes? 55 or 25? Oh, it's okay. I get you. Okay, let's see. Cool. Okay, so this session I'm calling Product Thinking for AI Builders. I don't know if that's what the official name on it, but this is what I'm calling. So basically, as I was saying, product thinking basically separates a product that ships from product that sticks, right? So everybody here, or even, I don't know, with enough context, my grandmother can build a product today, given that she knows how to interact with the computer. She can ship it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the product sticks, right? Stickiness is important for the success of your product, right? And the reason why product thinking is important is because it distinguishes two basically. So I think we all would agree that we are currently living in the best time to build, right? Because we can build anything in minutes. As there are people who can apparently build things in 3 seconds only, which is great. But we are living in the most exciting era for builders because things that took weeks now takes hours, right? And a single person with AI can prototype or validate and build and ship a product that would have required a full team or that would have required probably months, right? And it's extremely easy to do. And there are white coding tools that you can use, AI design assistants and tools to do research for you. And basically, if you think about it, like AI or LLMs have democratized building or product building for everybody. So it's really, really easy. But at the same time, it also comes with a catch. And what is that catch? The catch is speed basically amplifies everything, right? It also amplifies our ability to make bad decisions. And this is where product thinking is important, right? Building the wrong thing, the fastest to building the wrong thing, right? So with AI, you can build things faster, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you are building the right thing. You could be building the wrong thing faster. So in this session, our intention is to hopefully offer some tips and insights that actually helps us be better builders than probably we are today or yesterday, right? So when I look at it, like AI makes the how easy, right? You just need to nail down the what and why. Like what is that you're building and why are you building? Like how is it? This is sort of like a bonus slide because my session got delayed, so I sort of put this in here in between. That's why this doesn't mention the rest of the stars. But this is a piece that has actually changed my life. The way I think about products, the way I look at consumer behavior, the way I look at psychology of the people that use this products or interact with products in general. It doesn't need to be software, but any kind of product, right? So if you want to be a better builder, if you only watch very, very few videos, I would say this should be one of those videos. This video is called How Great Leaders Inspire Action. It's by somebody named Simon Sinek and it's available on YouTube. So it's very, very short. I think the size is 17 minutes or 10 minutes, somewhere in between. But this will change your perspective on how you look at products, consumers, and how they interact with those and why they interact with those. So just a bonus slide if you are interested. I would highly recommend watching that. And the point that I'm trying to make is like fundamentals is extremely important. Even though you can build things faster, the fundamentals still win, right? Because there are very, very few essential things that is important for a successful product. Like one thing that we all know, at least people who have been in the industry or have experience building products who know that products doesn't fail because of engineering. They fail because they solve a problem that the user doesn't want. Right? Like we have seen great products in the past probably 10, 20 years. Like one example is Google Glass was a great product. Like it was an engineering model, so to speak. But there wasn't really a use for that. It could have been ahead of its time, but there wasn't really a use case for it. Like it didn't succeed, right? So when it comes to like product, the way I look at it, there's a huge deal of human psychology involved in products, right? Every product is rooted in human behavior. It includes things like habits or some kind of frustration or desire, right? Technology can change, but humans don't change. Like at least the way their perception, the way they feel, their habits and frustrations like really change, right? So you may have a problem, and as a human you may have a problem, and if there's a solution, you're not gonna change your problem to cater for the solution that's available in the market. It's the other way around, right? And as I was saying, like AI basically compresses time, not thinking. So you can do things very, very fast, like mundane things which would have taken weeks, other than building. I'm talking about building in here, but things like market research, you can do it in minutes, right? And you can prioritize in hours. But what it cannot do is it can't change critical thinking. You need to think about your product, you need to think about your customers, and you need to decide what to do. And we'll get there on how. And if you, coming back to my previous point about like AI has democratized design and product building, like everybody can build, right? So the unfair advantage is not the technology, not your ability to build, not how fast you can release something. Yes, to some degree, like traditionally, We have measured the mode of a product depending on how fast they can ship things. But it's very generalized. It's no longer the mode. It's more of I would say somewhere in the middle, in the competitive edge. So everybody can build very, very fast today. So the unfair advantage is actually product thinking. It's probably going to be an unfair advantage. Like just today, I think it was 2 hours ago, we had our town hall meeting at Lorifas, and somebody asked a very, very interesting question. A lot of things that we are building today at Lorifas, people can build it within AI tool, with AI tool probably there for weeks, right? How do we scalability come on? And there was some interesting answers to that question, because similar to the one that I have over here, the mode is not going to be your ability to build it. It's how you figure out to get those users. How do you figure out to get people to use your product and make them stick? How do you keep them coming? Like if you have a gathering product in the market, that's the easy part. How do you get users to use that? How do you make them sticky, and how do you get them to stay, right? So these are 3 primary reasons why I think product fundamentals win. Obviously, there's a lot more, but for me, this would be the top 3. So if I were to take a framework, so to speak, on how to build today with AI, this is how I would go about it. Obviously, there's a lot of frameworks out there on how you can do product development. They are shaped up by Basecamp, which is also great. But fundamentally, all of these frameworks have the same thing over this, right? So this is how I would go about it. Like the first step would be for me to do some product discovery. Traditionally, even if you do the product discovery, there are like 10, 15 different frameworks to do how product discovery, right? You don't have to do it. You can do it very, very easy. I'll walk through an example as well. So the first step is do some kind of discovery, and you have to define your problem. What is the problem that you're solving for, right? So there's a bit of research involved here. You have to define your problem. You also need some kind of user intent, right? What are the people who's going to use my product? If you build something for the sake of building, you might get that dopamine hit of building something, but it will never be a product or people are not going to use it. So first step is this, discover what it is that you are trying to do. The second phase is like doing some kind of planning, right? Like traditionally people create personas, create product canvas. You don't need to do all of these, but there has to be some kind of plan, right? Like you need to know what is it you are building for, who are the people involved, and what is the problem that this product is essentially solving, right? So you need to have some kind of plan on this, right? The third step is to do some kind of validation of research. There are again different ways that you can do validation. Obviously, nothing beats talking to customers and observing them. But you can do secondary sources of research. You can do market validation. You can do comparative analysis. Again, very, very easy to do with AI. And lastly, you prioritize, learn, and repeat, right? It's very, very easy. So this would be the sort of mental model that I would take if I were to build any product today. The second thing is right after you build, you also need to know a way to measure the success of the product. There are a lot of ways that people can measure product. Some people might look at things like the number of sessions on your landing page, how many users are coming to your product, registration, daily users, MAU, weekly active users, and so forth, right? Most of the times, those metrics happen to be vanity metrics. That doesn't actually tell you anything. That just tells you this user, came and registered. It doesn't tell you that it used your product or whether they are getting value or not. The best way to measure that your users are getting value out of your product is to define a North Star metric. And as North Star metric is one metric that can actually capture the value of your core product. It reflects customer value. It also aligns with everybody in the team. It's a leading indicator that your product is exceeding cost performance. It's on track to get where you want, right? It might be a little bit abstract for some of you all, so that's why I came up with some examples so you can ingest this a little bit easily. So here are some real company or products with their North Star metrics. So if you take Airbnb, the number of nights booked is their North Star metric. this pretty much explains every single other metric that they will have in the company, right? You don't need to look into user registration, you don't need to look number of searches, where people are coming from, the revenue you are making, because when the number of nights booked increases, every other metric in your company increases. So this is why Northstar is very important, because it's tightly correlated with every other metric that you have in your company. Same other examples like Spotify had time to listen. If people are listening, they also need to log into your product. If people are listening, they have to do other things like search, follow artists, stuff like that, right? So these are some examples. I'm not going to go through one by one, but the idea here is that a Northstar metric is tied to the every other metric that you have in your company. It will someday impact that. So the next thing I want to talk about is product market fit. Essentially, here's an example of how Airbnb found their product market fit, right? Basically, their founders couldn't afford rent, so they put up some mattresses in their house where they were trying to rent, and they were offering some local experiences, and they did a bunch of things, right? I don't want to go through all of these in detail. The point I'm trying to make is they didn't build what they thought people wanted. They actually observed people and see how they were using the product, and they were real users and found what they loved, and they actually made it, and they doubled down, right? They started with AR mattresses. People didn't want to do it. They didn't say that like, hey, you have to keep using AR mattresses, right? People wanted local experiences, not to say in a hotel. So they built their entire product around experiences. Later on, obviously, they had done a lot of shifts in the product, but in the early days, they built the whole product, or pivoted the whole product around experiences, which gave them the niche they were looking for, and then they scaled from there. The important thing here is like build what your customers want, not what you think they want. Similar thing on how Uber is their product market fit. They saw a problem. They did some research around potential users. They were urban professionals. They dived into the problem of the problem was urban professionals were struggling getting reliable transportation. Like it's a mobility problem. They didn't start with, hey, let's build Uber as the app that we see today. They really dived into the problem, right? One problem was people didn't know like how far their taxi was. Like if you were to traditionally call a taxi company, this might be very, very obvious for us today, but it wasn't obvious in 2008 and 2009. So they spoke to their users. One thing was like they're anxious. They don't know where the taxi is. They don't know whether they are getting late or not. So map tracking was added to reduce anxiety. And again, like think about how this relates to human psychology, right? Like this helps people reduce their anxiety. They didn't build Map because it was a cool feature. They built it because they wanted to reduce the anxiety and sort of that, like. And then the added payment, which reduces the friction of the most annoying thing when you are taking transportation. And obviously, driver rating, trust, and all that, right? So there was fun. Again, the point that I'm trying to make here is that you have to understand your users. Same thing with Netflix. They started by DVD to mail. They did a lot of things. They moved to streaming because users didn't love DVDs. It was a hassle for them to return it. They wanted instant access. So they went to streaming. They went licensed content to original content, and then they expanded to global from years. Today they have over 325. The key point on every slide that I'm trying to make is the importance of understanding your users and their needs. So the most important thing is essentially what I was trying to say in the last three slides was fall in love with the problem, not the solution. Right? Like if you came here today thinking that I'm going to build a solution because I think it's a good idea, I would highly encourage you to think twice, or at least find some users who have the same problem, talk to them and understand them. If we fall in love with the solution, then you are definitely going to build the wrong thing. If you fall in love with this problem, it's gonna give you the insight that you need to build the problem. So the first thing where you need to start with is, one second. You need to start with who has the problem, right? Being ruthless everybody means no one, right? Like if you're starting your product thinking that my audience is everybody, you don't know your audience. It's as simple as that. There are no such thing as like everybody is my user, or you need to really work on figuring that out, right? And the second thing is what is the pain that they feel, right? Like, what is the problem that they have with their current journey, right? Like if you are trying to, I don't know, digitize the menu solution, what is their current journey look like, right? Or whatever it is that you're trying to, whatever problem that you're trying to solve, what is the journey look like, right? And what is that you're building now, right? So it's important that you dive deep into the problem over here. The second step is like start with your problem statement. Like you need to have some kind of problem statement. Like I know like a lot of us might not know starting this field. Believe me, I've been there. Like 10 years ago, if somebody asked me to come and do this, I would have said like, what the hell? But I would never start building anything without some kind of plan there. You see the difference once you do it that way. And then the most essential thing, especially when it comes to building the AI, building AI today is PRDs, like product requirement documents. Product blueprint. It's an AI step over here. A lot of people are writing more and more PRDs in the last year, probably more than people have written PRDs in the last 10 years. It's mostly people who provide the AI tools, right? And traditionally, a PRD would have all of these sections. It's a very, very comprehensive document. People are still writing it in the most traditional sense and feeding that in LLMs. And it works well. It works sometimes, it doesn't, but I think it works for the most part. Essentially, it has the same thing that we have been talking about. Like you have a problem statement, you have your North Star metric, and you have some kind of score, right? I'm going to skip this slide and then go to an example. So as I was saying, like a lot of people are using PRDs today to build with AI. So what I did was like I created something called like an AI native PRD. I'll share this template with you all. If you want, you can use it for your building. But what I have done here is the main thing is like traditional PRDs are written for people. It wasn't written for AI. So the way that people write PRDs traditionally is very, very different than what an AI would expect. So I have restructured the whole AI something to be more AI native. And probably I think in Matthew's session, we might be using this template to give you an example as well. But this has things like an overview of the problem that you're trying to solve, right? So I included some examples. You start with your product overview, what is the problem that you are trying to build. And then you can include your tech and infrastructure. And this doesn't need to be, this you can scale up to your level, right? If you are a non-technical founder, if you don't have any experience with technology before, you can completely skip that because some of the white coding tools like Lovable or Replit can actually take care of that. But if you are a seasoned engineer, or if you have particular preference on how you want to keep your tooling or your stack, you can do so as well, right? Like I have given an example over here. You can say that my front end needs to be XYZ, database needs to be this, and so on, right? But don't need to worry about this too much. Doesn't need to be super technical. Most tools can take care of it. So scale this up to your level. The next thing is the data model. This is extremely important. Once you know what you're building, so we started with the problem. Once you understand the problem, you understand your users, and you have some kind of solution in your mind, right? Like you know what to build now. So the data model is important in the sense that like what are the features in this particular product? Like who are the entities or people who are going to be using? So you can build the structure and you can have MVP. Again, if you want to be super technical, you can use some kind of technical notation and do so as well, like ERD or any kind of schema. But for non-technical founders, again, you don't need to worry too much about it. You can write it in the same way that you would explain it to somebody. This product have users, you're going to report like name, email, avatar, next to extend and so forth. Oh, the text is very small. How about now? Okay. Awesome. And again, the most important thing is like user flows, right? You don't need to write huge paragraphs about this user is going to do it by these, not in the most traditional agile sense. You don't need to do it. It needs to be more systematical because AI can do a lot of work for you. You don't have to waste your time to know of this. So this way your flow, you can basically write out. And then the next thing you're I'm going to skip this, basically the same thing, and any kind of business rules and validations and all that you want to put in, you can add so as well, and any edge cases and any design and copy direction. I'm not going to go through it in detail because I'll share this and you can go through it in detail. This one, but however, is extremely important, out of scope thing, because AIs tend to hallucinate. People write a lot of garbage for you. So if you don't provide constraints, it's gonna go crazy sometimes with the stuff with that setting, right? So it's extremely important that you add constraint or out of scope things. That way you get the right thing in function, right? So I've added some tips for you on how you can use it and some checklists over here. Now coming back to the tool that I was showing earlier today. What was it, gateway, right? The reason why I asked the question was I actually did it today, just this morning. I didn't wake up today thinking that I'm going to build that tool. I was working on this PRD over here, and probably you may have noticed that the product name was EV first. This is where I got this idea. I was just generating this PRD from AI. I felt like, give me like an AI native PRD, here are things that needs to include and add examples, right? So that idea came actually from this PRD itself that I was generating. I took it and I built it mostly to tell you all how easy it is to build something. So from that product, it's completely functional. It works very, very well. I even validated it by showing it to some people and tested it out. I dove through it. I observed how my wife was trying to use it and got some feedback and improvement. And it only took 20 minutes with the PRD. It only took 20 minutes in one shot. That was it. I did, however, spend probably another 1 hour or so adjusting the copy because it was designed for a Gen Z and younger audience. I wanted to use the right kind of terminology. So I spent 20 minutes, one shot building that with the PRD. And then I spent another 1 hour or a little bit more time trying to adjust the copy, right? And I'll show you exactly how the process went. So I did all of these. Obviously, I didn't start with market research, but generally it's a good idea to start with market research. I started with the PRD. So this is the exact same format that I was showing this now. This covers that like this app does XYZ. I gave some kind of technical infrastructure because I'm picky about the kind of stack that I use. I gave a data model and then added all of the flows that I showed. Fed this 20 minutes and I had that. And then I also built this brand guideline. I also created the brand guideline together with the PRD so that it can get your design right. Like it got exactly what I wanted, no changes. The only thing I did with design changes was probably I aligned some buttons that was on left to center, but otherwise the design was great, right? I spoke about the personality on here, like it needs to be like playful, it needs to be social, like low pressure or what not to do. Like this is not a serious finance tool, right? Like this is not corporate fintech. There's no budget chain kind of thing, right? Like, and I also defined the tone, how we talk about in the product, some examples of what to say, examples of what not to say, the color schema, and all this is writing, right? So when you go into these details, obviously you don't need all of these documents, and you can go and build things right now immediately. But when you do all of these, you don't have to do a lot of work back and forth to correct it and get to the step that you want to be. The next thing I did was I did some market research. So I did this with Perplexity. You can do the same thing with ChatGPT, Deep Research, or Anthropic, or any tool that you are using. I asked a bunch of questions, right? I said I'm building a product called Paidleys, some mobile first web for Gen Z. This is what I'm trying to do. Help me with this particular problem. And again, you can see the specific question that I'm asking for, right? Like, what if the psychological call on designated pair and Gen Z friendly? Like, things like financial anxiety and how people look at that. How do they handle money? What is the competitor fatigue and pain points? Like, what are the behavioral traits of the friend who wouldn't pay money back to you? Right? Why is it so hard for people to go and say, hey, you owe me this much money, right? So this did very well. Gave me everything I wanted, and also gave a summary of. And these are personas here, though. You don't have to spend time figuring personas though, because this can be too personal. But this gave me my position, right? Basically, my app is now the anti-split for Gen friends who are financially stressed about their friendship. You have friends who owe you money, but you don't want to basically ask them, right? So doing this, again, this took probably 5 minutes or a little bit more, but you give the prompt and you wait for it. But it probably didn't take more than 10 minutes, right? But when you do this, you get a lot of insights into potential personas who is going to use your product, and whether there are other players in the market who might be doing the same thing. But I also want to say at the same time, what you can do is, if there are people that you can talk to, always go and talk to them. There's probably the best possible way for you to do that validation. So, Jan, were you saying something? Okay, cool. Okay, so this is probably post-build. After you build, in order for you to measure how you're doing, there's a framework called ARR, also known as the pilot metrics. This can actually help you structure or validate your sort of like product. There are different areas that you need to keep in mind, and how you can go about it. But given that we don't have a lot of time, I'm going to skip it. There's another framework called HART by Google, but this is easier for people who doesn't have the experience, right? But essentially, it's the same thing that we have spoken about in this session, right? What you need to know is what is the value of your product, what is it you're building, who are your users for use case, and what is your success metrics. That's pretty much it. I got some examples, but I think we have covered here. And one last important thing that I want to emphasize is the way we talk to people when you are trying to validate the product, right? AI research can get you 70%, but if you can talk to somebody, if you have access to somebody, I would always opt in to go with that route. But ask questions the right way. Like, don't ask them that would you use this app. Look, everybody's probably going to say yes. Instead, like asking, like, walk me through the last time you did the particular thing, right? That will give you insight on how they are solving the problem today, and that can give you insight on how you can actually solve the problem within the product that you are building, right? So the way you ask questions is extremely important here as well. And the way that the workflow I would suggest is like feed content. So take like probably 15 to 20 minutes that you build in a PRD or the document on your brand personality or design guidelines. Wouldn't take you from so much time, but it can save you a lot of time. So feed the context and then do some prototyping, and then you can pretty much build the AI, right? These are some exercises that you can do. I'll share a slide deck within your group if you want to sort of go and do the rapid prototyping. And these are some tools that you can use for building, right? So my go-to tool for research is Perplexity. For planning, there's two tools that I would recommend. AI Co-Founder is a great tool. It will ask you a bunch of follow-up questions on when you give your idea to it. It will ask you additional follow-up questions. Check PRD is also a great tool for building PRDs. The reason why I say it's great is because unlike other generic tools, Check PRD will ask you follow-up questions on particular subject that we have also covered on the AI native PRD. And then you can use any kind of tool your preference to build and then go, right? And this is an example of how you can sort of prototype an idea that we have right? But again, the same thing that we have covered over here, it's the same, essentially same things. Just the last thing that I want to cover on this session is like the anti-patterns that we should all be extremely vigilant of. One is like getting that mindset of build it and they will come. It never happens, right? Like everyone is our target users, means you don't know who your users is. We'll figure out the UX later. No, because the foundation for MVP for what is being accepted as an MVP have drastically changed in the past 2 years. So UX is one of them, right? And scope creating and speed in the research. So these are things to be aware of. Okay, so that is all from me. Now go build something that matters, and just spend some time planning. That is all.
All right, so if you have questions for Haris, please send it to Gina.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yes. And if you want more information,
He's still there, but I will take questions for 5 minutes.
okay. He's still here, so if anyone got questions, please raise your hand. Yawin will go there. To you. Okay, anyone got questions? There's a question behind.
Oh, 20 minutes. One shot, 20 minutes. One shot, 20 minutes.
Okay, so 20 minutes to build that product.
20 minutes and one shot. No back and forth. The only thing I did afterwards was I adjusted copy, but building the whole thing took 20 minutes. That's it.
Wow. Any other questions? All right. So anyway, if you do have any other questions, you can email, or you can maybe message Spark Hub, not Spark Hub, but GenAI Instagram. That could be it as well.
There's a Telegram group with the team leads. If you
Telegram.
have anything, just message to the team leads.
Yes. So, cool. All right. So now we will say bye to Haris. Goodbye. Thank you so much for your knowledge.
Bye. Thank you all for listening.
And yes, so we will break for prayers, and then at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. we will have dinner. So we have food ready. So we will be back. So dinner will be 1 hour, right? Is it?
And no, we're going to leave it. So dinner is at 7, but since we ran out of time, we are going to start the next session by 7:45.
Okay.
So do the break right now because some of you will do and do the prayers. The prayer room over here is not open. They had no issue, so they shut it down. So we take the break right now, but we'll be back at 7:45. Okay? Good? All right. Thank you. 7:45, yeah. 7:45.
Time.
Back to the venue. 7 o'clock dinner will be served. Okay?
Dinner.
Dinner will be served. That means you have time right now for you to go and check your dinner. 7:45 will start.
Store huriha chamigatare. That's a hard.
Everyone is asking for electricity. Yes, we'll put cables somewhere over here so that you can take power. Okay? Yes, you can keep your stuff. It will be safe. There's a camera somewhere over here, but I don't know where it is.